Hi there, my name is Damien Enright and I represent Enright Properties. So I work with my wife Sally and we've been landlords and property managers in Bath for a number of years. We're also landlords ourselves, so we do own property in Bath. And then as a sideline, we've taken up looking after properties for other clients that have property in Bath. We're going to provide you with information, and I'll show you in a moment, on the WhatsApp group chat. So I'm going to show you each document now, and then you can always refer back to those documents whilst you're living at the property for help. We're providing them because, as I say, we've been at this a number of years and dealt with a whole range of scenarios, and realised that for most people of your age group, it'll be the first time you've taken responsibility of property on your own, and we're here to provide guidance to help you. Once you do step through the door and take possession of the property and the keys, you are responsible for the property. All of you are responsible for it jointly. But obviously, the more of you that are in the property, the more you can share that responsibility. So I'll just pick up the phone and show you each of the forms and go through the property. So we've got several documents here. I'm going to go through this list, which is the property check-in list. So it's just basically the basics of the property for when you first move in. We're also got this, so this will be provided on the group chat. You'll also have property housekeeping and other information that will help you succeed in the upkeep of the property. That's another document that again highlights 3 pages. It's very simple to read through, and as I say, you can refer to it anytime because it'll be on the WhatsApp group. And then you've got sheets of information regarding cleaning products, which is incredibly dull, I realise, but we want you to use the correct products and not to damage anything. So this is a list of information, various products that we suggest you use, and then photographs, etc., just to sort of highlight. I mean, other supermarkets and stuff have their own brands, so you can go for that sort of thing, but make sure that the products you're using are not going to damage fittings in the property. And you'll also receive the property inventory. So this obviously will vary in size and description for each property that we offer. So I'm going to start off with the property check-in. I've got another list here, a bit blind, so I've got it in bigger writing. So welcome to Enright Properties, Sally and Damien Enright, and as I said, we've been landlords and agents about for a number of years. We're a husband and wife team, and we work with our, actually we've got kids older than you that have been through the university years, so we've got our family on board as well, along with reliable tradespeople that we've known and trust for a number of years to help us manage property here in Bath. And as I said a moment ago, once you've got the property and it's been, you picked up the keys, you are responsible for the property. And we're here to help you with this information and other guidance, because we will provide you with other guidance videos whilst you're living in the property as well. It's pretty dull what I'm going to go through now, but I will go through it all. So I'm going to come through to the back and show you information about recycling and rubbish. This is available, all this information is available on the council website, and there is a link on literature that we send you. There's a link on there to the council website as well. So going through recycling tubs, you've got the green containers for glass and plastic and tins, but you'll see that you need to sort them specifically into certain boxes, and I'll show you in a moment that we've emphasised that, but that information is on the council website. So you've got the green containers for glass, plastic, tins, etc. There are other items, but you can check that on the council list. Blue bags for cardboard, and you've got the black food bin here, so your food waste. You need to make sure that you're putting a compostable bag inside the food waste bin for it to be collected. And you've got, it depends on the property you're in, but you'll have a wheelie bin, either this size, which is a very large one, or half the size of this, or a canvas sack, a black sack. Now, this is for non-recyclable items only. You mustn't put glass or anything recyclable in this container, because it's only collected every 2 weeks. If you overuse it, and clearly it'll get full too quickly and it's not going to get collected. And also the bin collection service, if they see that you're not using it correctly, they won't collect it at all. And actually the same applies for these containers. If they're not sorted correctly, you can imagine on a busy day, they're going to hundreds and hundreds of houses, and if you haven't sorted the waste properly, they'll just leave your bins on the street and won't collect them. So please pay attention to how you should use the containers and how you should sort them. Actually, on the boring information regarding cleaning products, they have put on the back of that what you should put in each container. So that tells you what you should put in there. There's also a link to the council website, so you can link into that. Or even if you just go into Baines, you can pick up all this information so quickly. And also, if you miss your bin day, or if you miss your bin day because you're on holiday, or it's been like a Christmas holiday or an Easter holiday, and the bin days get mixed up a little bit, you can put in bin finder Bath Council, and you can put in your postcode, and it'll tell you the next day that you're being collected. So that's also really handy information to have. But really important, you recycle and dispose of your waste correctly. It does actually cause problems in larger households when they're not sure what to do. So we've gone quite a few extra steps to make sure that you don't incur those problems. You also have the option of going to Bath. They have a recycle centre. So if you miss your bin day, or actually when you first arrive at the property, often you'll have a lot of extra packing. So you've got cardboard or bags, or maybe you've got new appliances you've got boxing for. You may wish to take them directly to the council recycling centres. There's one in Bath and there's one in Keynsham. And again, this information is on the check-in sheet, or it's on the inventory, in fact. Yeah, so if you look at your property inventory, this does describe the property, but it also gives you more information about cleaning as well, the condition of the items inside the property, but also will provide information about recycling in bins and the address of the recycle centres. Ventilation and heating. So obviously this time of year, we're recording this video in summer, so you're not using the heating, but in the winter time and in the summer, obviously you'll be opening windows anyway to create ventilation. But in the winter time, it's so important that you open the windows in your room every single day. That means that if you're in a room, you've got your room door closed, the windows closed, you're creating about 1.5 to 2 pints of moisture per person in the room. And if you don't heat your room properly, so if you're blocking your radiator, for example, or you're covering your radiator with a towel, or you haven't got the heating on often enough, and you're not opening your window, you will definitely get mold in your room. That because you're breeding mold by not ventilating, or if you're covering your radiator. So it's important that you open the window every day, just to allow that moisture out of the room. Close it, make sure your heating's on frequently, and as I say, don't cover your radiator. Now, often as well, if you are living in a property, for example, like where I'll just give you an example. So we've got living room here, and we have a bedroom off the living room, which is quite common. Now you'll notice if I show you this room, it's not obvious now, but if I show you other rooms, this is on the back of the property. If I go directly across the whole way to the front, this room is really bright and much, much warmer. So there are some rooms in the property you need to, when you first arrive and when you're living in the property for a period of time, look at the aspect of your room. Look at when the sunlight is coming into a room, when the natural water is coming into a room. Even in the middle of winter, when it's very, very cold, you may get 3 or 4 hours of very strong sunlight and warmth. If you've got your windows closed in your room and your blinds closed, because often this happens where you'll go out to uni in the morning and you've left your windows closed, the room is pitch dark and it's freezing cold in here. Again, combine that with your radiator being covered and you're not heating that on frequently enough, you're going to, again, these are all conditions that create mold. So it's really important that if you're in a room where you can open your curtains out and it's not causing you a security problem, so for example, this is on the ground floor, but if you're in an upstairs room, I'll go upstairs again to provide further example of what I mean. So in this property you have rooms on the back, which not particularly dark today, but this is a room on the back. If you go into this room, you'll see it's much, much lighter. So by having, if you're not on the property for a short period of time, you're on holiday, it's a good idea to leave your doors open in your rooms. As long as you're all within the household are happy with that, leave your door open in your room. So you're creating warmth through the property and using the natural resources that are available if the weather's nice. Just going down now to the bedroom again. So furniture, it's really important that you don't drag and pull furniture in the room. It's tempting to do that, but if you want to rearrange it, be very, very careful. The rooms are usually laid out in the best possible way, but if you do choose to move items, please be careful doing that, because if you break the furniture, you're liable for breaking it. Always do it two-handed, so get someone else to help you, and lift items completely off the floor. Don't drag things along the floor, because you could damage the flooring on carpet or the furniture itself. And best of all, don't move the furniture at all, especially larger items, because if you break it, then you are liable for that damage, and it shouldn't, just advising you. Again, all of this is just advice to make sure that you don't run into trouble. Okay, washing machines. Again, they'll be placed in different places in different properties, but we always point out, because again, if you're new to living on your own, and I'm sure you've used plenty of appliances, etc., but if you're not used to them, you are liable for making sure you look after it properly. So if you're putting lots of items of clothing, so you take a whole load of clothing, you ram it into the drum, and it fills the drum completely, you're gonna break the machine. You need to make sure you don't fill the drum any higher than here. You can see there's a good 5 or 6 inches above my hand. So whatever clothing you put in here, you should be able to see a space in the top of the machine. If you're putting too much in, you'll break the machine. And not only that, but your clothes won't be washed properly. The machine can't do its job because it's too full. It won't be able to wash them properly. And again, more importantly, especially in the winter, when you want your clothes to be as dry as possible when they come out of the machine, they won't be dry, or they won't be spinning. The machine won't be able to go through its proper spin cycle because the machine's too heavy. So don't overfill the machine, please. Otherwise you could break it. And again, that's something you're liable for. So just use the machine sensibly. If you're lucky enough to have a dryer, the same thing applies. Don't overfill it. Leave a space on the top, because it's not designed to take a whole load. And again, make sure you're cleaning the vents out of the machine as well. Some dryers have a little condensing area, a little drawer that you pull out that you need to empty the water. This one doesn't, but often they have what's called a condensing dryer, which means that it just retains the water. A little light will come on and say to you, can you empty the drawer? And you pull the drawer out, just empty it into the sink. Just gonna have a quick drink. Okay, bathrooms and kitchens. You're obviously going to be using kitchen areas and bathrooms a lot. The bigger the property, the more people using them, of course. Don't put fatty substances down the drains, please. So if you've done something that's oily or fatty, you use an air fryer. A lot of people use them these days, and they're fantastic, but they do create quite a bit of fat and oil. Do not pour that down the sink, because you'll block the drains. And again, that's something you are liable for. In the cleaning information sheets, where it shows you different products you should use for cleaning, there's also it recommends the drain clean solution you should use. You should use different for the kitchen drain and for the bathroom drains, because one is more specific to burning through hair and things like that, whereas the kitchen ones are better for fat. You should be using that at least once a month, otherwise you'll end up having problems with your drains. As I say, make sure that you're not these sinks, unfortunately, you've got the retainer, so if anything does get washed down, then you can easily take it out and put it in the bin. But again, be very careful not to shove food down through the drain, because that's going to go into a pipe so big, and it's not designed to take food and dirt. It's only designed to take water. So they're blocked if you just shove any old thing down there, and if you're not using drain clean. The same applies to the bathroom. Just make sure that you don't put, actually if I go up to the shower room now, just an example. So if you're, again, it's quite common these days where if you're grooming, shaving, that sort of thing in the shower, and it's all going down through the drain, you're going to block the drain. So you should be retaining any hair or any grooming that you're doing. You should be taken from the sink or the drain or the shower tray and put into a bin, a separate bin, and taken away, not allowed to go down the drain, because again, that can, because when you have soap products, shower gels, etc., they will combine with hair and so on in the drain and block the drain. So you retain hair that you're perhaps grooming and put it in a bin, not in the drain itself. It's not designed to take that. Right, so in your bedrooms, we'll realise you'll want to personalise your rooms, and that's fine. But please be careful and mindful when you do that, because again, it goes back to your responsibility of maintaining and looking after the property properly while you're living there. So if you come into this room, you can see the condition of it. And this should be the case with most properties where you come in, the walls are quite plain. There may be very small blemishes on there, but generally speaking, the condition's good. You know, we make sure that the properties are well looked after. What you mustn't do is stick items directly on the wall. So there are various products out there, Blue Tack. There's a whole range of products, but Command is another one. It's a range of products that sells little hooks and stickers and everything that they say. Quite often people want to put lights in their room, that sort of thing. You're running the risk of damaging the walls if you stick things directly on the walls. So if you stick things on there, then you could be liable for it. So for example, this room, in a regular double room, you're probably looking at, just for the walls, £300 to decorate the room. So, you know, fair wear and tear is fine. At the end of the tenancy, if you come and everything's fine, there's a little knock here and there, that's fine. But if you've blatantly just stuck items on the wall and ignored what we said to you, because we'll come and check the property while you're living here and give you advice, etc., while you're living here. If we find that items are stuck on the wall and we've asked you not to do it, we've told you in this video not to do it, you're then, you know, bearing the risk of causing damage, which we've asked you not to do. The products say that they don't leave marks, but they do. Electric supply failure. We've mentioned this now because obviously you've got gas and electric in most of the properties that you'll be living in. Some of them are just all electric supply, but most are a combination of gas and electric. We will supply specific information about your property in a separate video, but for example, just as for example purposes, in this room there's a trip switch. It's called a consumer board, and that is all the electrics in this property. So if, for example, you put in, I don't know, plugged in your laptop or a hairdryer or something and it flicked out and you suddenly had no power in your power socket, you'd have to come to this box, which is very safe to do. As I say, we'll point out where it is in the property, specifically where you're living. You'll find the roll switches, and then probably one of them is flipped in the wrong direction. You need to re-engage it, put it back to reset the circuit. You'll see the OCD button here as well. Sometimes it flips that, so not only will it be the black switch, but it'll also be the OCD. You reset the OCD and then put the switch back up again. It might kick back against you, in which case we'd have to get an electrician out to resolve the problem. But often it's something straightforward that causes these types of problems, and they can be reset easily. Fire safety. So in this property and in most properties, virtually all, they have a fire safety system. You'll have a smoke alarm, very like this one here. You'll notice, if I could just about point, there's a little button on the side. You need to check the smoke alarms every month. You need to press it, and then it'll make a piercing bleep. It's connected. Is it connected with other smoke alarms in the property? So they'll all go off together. You need to check and make sure they're working properly. That's a fire safety supply. You need to make sure the property is safe for you. In addition to that, you'll have a thumb turn lock on the front and back door. So it means if a fire does break out, smoke alarms will go off. You'll be alerted. You'll escape from the property immediately, and you can open the doors front and rear without using a key. Again, that's purely for safety. So once you come into the property, you come up the door like so. That's it locked. But to open it in a rush, so if you can imagine the house is, or the property is full of smoke, you're barely able to get out the door. You don't have to search for keys. You can get out safely without having to use a key. You must make sure as well that you don't block the hallways in the property. So if someone's living upstairs and you've got a close area on the landing or something, that could impede someone's exit from the property. Again, imagining the property is completely filled with smoke, someone's got an air dryer or shoes and stuff in the hallway, you trip at the top of the stairs and you don't get out. It's your responsibility not to block hallways and escape routes whilst you're living at the property. Right, so utilities and broadband. When you first move, this is mentioned on the check-in information. So when you first get in, your utilities are provided at the property. So your water will be here, gas and electric, if they're both supplied to the property. If it's an all electric, obviously, it'll just be that. You need to register with the utility company when you arrive, and provide them with all your names. We would suggest that if rather than just one person, you may wish to split it up a bit. It's, say, 6 of you living in a property, and you put 3 in electric, 3 in gas, you know, or 2 in electric, 2 in gas, 2 in water. But it's important you share the responsibility, because once you put your name to a bill, it is your responsibility. So for example, if you decide to be really helpful for your group and put your name on all the bills, and at the end of the tenancy there's problems with the bills, it's your name that's liable, not the others that live with you. So that's really important that you do that. It's also important that you contact the council and advise them that you're living at the property as well, so that you're exempt from council tax. And then broadband, again, the same thing. The only thing we would say about broadband is just be careful with companies. It's all fairly straightforward these days, but occasionally you can get some of the engineers that come a little bit heavy-handed with drills and so on. Sometimes they need to secure their ladders to the side of a building. So just be aware when they do, when they say they're coming, find out what it is they need to do. If and when they need to drill a hole, let us know. So if you just send us a message on the group chat and say, look, someone's coming, at least you then let us know, and it covers you. So just be careful when they come. They're not just drilling holes willy-nilly, and that you check with us before that sort of thing happens. Again, it's not often it happens, but the last thing you want is that being a worry or problem for you. So the property has received a full professional clean, or the property when you arrive at it, we make sure that happens. It's really important. We feel it's really important, and we hear all sorts of horror stories down through the years, but we meet every student group as they leave the property. So when it comes to your turn for into your tenancy, we'll meet you, whether it's 1 or 2 of you or all of you. We'll check you out, we'll make sure everything's okay, and then we'll get a team of cleaners in to clean it on your behalf. Now, this works really well because, especially with larger groups, or if people are traveling and doing all sorts of things during the summer or leaving at different times, it means that your responsibility is shared. So if 2 or 3 of you move out and you're left with 1 or 2 at the end, which is often the case, this is what happens, and this is our experience, where we find 1 or 2 people at the end of the tenancy, often a little bit worried because there's a bit of pressure from others to say, oh, it's clean enough, I clean my room. And often they're not clean enough, because when you move into a property, you will see that it's clean and presentable. All the carpets have been cleaned, mattresses, every single item. So the room, when our cleaners go in, they start at the top, they clean all the way to the bottom. They clean all the carpets, they hoover all through all the furniture, inside the wardrobes, everything. So it's a clean room for you to start living in. When you put your clothing into a wardrobe or a drawer, you expect it to be clean, and that's how it will be presented. So it's a very methodical process. It takes a lot of time, and the people that we use, some of them we've been using for years. Some of them are sort of extended family members of cleaners that we've known that do a good job, and they return to us every year because we treat them well, but they also do a very good job for us. So we will talk to you about that at the end of your tenancy, but it's really important, and it's also part of the upkeep of the house or the property that you're living in, whether it be a house or flat. It's got a deep clean through between each tenancy. That's a really important aspect of the upkeep of the property. So we'll talk that through with you at the time, but welcome to your nice clean property when you first move in. We've made sure that's happened. So again, we appreciate this is pretty dull stuff. We've covered the things that we feel help most people settle in. Please do read all the information we send you. So we're dealing with, in the summer, we're dealing with tenants going out, tenants coming in. So it's double the amount of people. We're dealing between about 800 people, more or less 80 groups, between 60 and 80 groups. So if you read through this information, all the stuff we send you, most of your questions will be answered if you look and take the time to read through it and listen to this video. If you've got a query, by all means contact us, but make sure it's on the group chat, and make sure that you've spoken to everyone else before you make that call or that message. We are available to speak to you, but most things are resolvable on the group chat, and videos are really handy. So for example, when you're living here, if there's something wrong with something, we want you to take a video of it. So if the washing machine's broken or a tap's leaking, take a video of it, put it on the group chat. Make sure it's a nice, concise, straightforward, informed thing, not lots of little messages within a message, one message, so that we can then send it on to the appropriate tradesperson to help. That's how we do it, maintenance and everything else whilst you're living here. But as I say, appreciate this is not exactly riveting reading, but it's hopefully an insight into how we work. We want to be here to help you, but reminding you at the end of this video that it is your responsibility while you're living here to do the best you can to look after the property while you're here. And then the last piece, we'll do a separate video on this anyway, but key collection, we will make keys available to you, and we'll arrange that with you within the group chat, and they'll be available at the property for you to collect. But I say, make sure that you all talk to each other before you contact us for that check-in, so we know who is going to be moving in and who's taking responsibility. The person coming in first, or persons, will then be responsible for signing off this inventory, but you'll get a separate video on that as well. So hopefully I've covered everything. And as I say, welcome to Living in Bath. Hope you have a good academic year. And as I say, we're here to help you along the way whilst you're living at your property. Thank you very much for your time.